Membership can help keep more money in your pocket. Save up to 75% off preferred home and office products with Office Depot. Special package pricing with Lifeline screenings. Exclusive savings on post-frame buildings with QSI. And join the Kansans who've switched to Kansas Farm Bureau health plans. And enjoy significant savings on nationwide medical health care coverage. Join today. For a full list of benefits, visit kfb.org/benefits.
Well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Gardner. Ready to check out? Here we go. Clean air. I don't see a price on there.
Price check on clean air.
What else have we got here? Clean water. Gotta check that, too.
Price check on clean water.
Let's see. Healthy habitat for you.
You can't put a price on our environment. What you can do is support those farmers and others who care for our priceless natural resources. Conservation, there's something in it for you. Brought to you by the Natural Resources Conservation Service.
Got a PC? Well, then you better join me, your digital goddess, Kim Commando, here on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. on the Talk of the Town, 1590 a.m. KVGB.
Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
It'll be the physical games. It's a little old school football. Line it up. They're going to try to run the football. We know they're going to try to run the football, and that's the mark of a good team. When the other team knows you're going to run it, can you stop it? And that's what we're going to have to be able to do.
Last year I thought, Great Bend, could come out, more ready than what we did when we come down there, and then jumped on us and hit us in the mouth and knocked us down, and it took a lot for us to recover to get back into the game. So, this year we want to be the team that, strikes first and go from there.
Obviously, what happened last year, we remember it, and there's no excuse to be made. I mean, they just kicked our rears. So, hopefully our guys are a little hungry and are ready to right some wrongs that happened last year. And
I think, to be quite honest, we caught them on a bad night. They had a lot of turnovers. Things kind of snowballed, but I don't think the score was indicative of the gap between the two teams, because Hoisington was, and always is a great team.
We got to gel all together. I mean, it starts with me. I mean, there were certain throws I was putting on guys' back hips instead of in front of them, and we have to learn from it. I mean, our schedule gets no easier. We have a hard game, Sunday night football, so we have to get better quickly, and if we don't want these L's to start piling up. We want to make sure we get back on that winning train.
Put up big blocks tonight. Having Val back full force makes a big difference, but even our pins are starting to play pretty big at that net. It's big for our defense. This one's always nice after having a couple losses last weekend. It kind of builds the girls' confidence back up a little bit.
Good afternoon and welcome into Sports Day. I'm Mike Hesher. As we rock on this Friday, we're joined this afternoon by Mike Corson, and Scott Donovan steps in for Steve Webster, as Scotty will be in to help us figure out what the heck's going on in the sports wheel.
Oh, I will never step in for Steve Webster. I'm just here.
Well, Steve has, okay, we won't even go there. Good afternoon, Mike Corson.
Hello.
How are we doing today?
It's Friday.
It's Friday, and we got football all over the place tonight.
Oh, man, all over tonight, this weekend.
Okay. So, on the sounds of the past 24 hours, first up was Aaron Beck, as Aaron was talking about the Great Bend Panthers taking on Dodge City tonight. Quick thoughts on that game, gentlemen?
This is going to be a big test. Great Bend was favored, I think, the last 2 weeks. They came out and kind of floored Southeast last week. WAC has actually looked pretty good this year, and Dodge is going to be the first big test.
I heard Patrick talking about it this morning with Steve on the show early on, and agreed. I think both teams have something to prove, and we've got a 2-game winning streak going on for the Panthers, so it's kind of exciting. I do want to mention that tonight, Wheatland Electric will be. Oh, you
wasted no time getting to that one, Scott.
Oh, okay.
Go right ahead, man. Go right ahead.
I just saw your head
are
just
a
move
promoter,
back.
man.
Like, what's going on?
No, just go right ahead.
So the Cram the Van thing is going on tonight on the Fridays on Forest, okay, which is open to the public from 5 until 9, and tonight, this is their annual food drive. Normally they do it out at Wheatland Electric, but this time around they're going to team up and do it at the, on Forest Street tonight. You can bring your cash donations or food donation, non-perishable food items, and just drop them off at either entrance, any one of the 3 entrances when you come in. And on Forest Avenue, they'll be glad to take them, and every donor can register to win their grand prize, which is kind of a fun deal. They are giving away a Samsung Smart Projector Freestyle valued at $700.
And you told me earlier that this is the one we're having, their big screen will be streaming Great Bend audio?
Yeah, so that's the neat thing. They're going to have the game on tonight, and that is really exciting. So we look forward to that. That is going to be something pretty cool. But they'll be streaming the game tonight, the Great Bend Dodge City game. They also have a 50-50 raffle going on. Drink vendors, food trucks, the same great stuff that you've enjoyed with Cram the Van. I'm sorry, with the Final Fridays on Forest with GB Alive, and they've got a Mark Allen band playing tonight and all that stuff. But Cram the Van is a neat little added extra on Forest Avenue with Wheatland Electric tonight. So you get the chance, come on down, make your donations. By the way, every item of food or cash that gets donated goes directly to the Barton County Food Bank. So, and they are definitely in need of help. So
okay,
do what you can. That should be a lot of fun.
Thank you, Scotty.
Yeah.
And then third, we heard from Zach Baird, the head coach of the Hoisington Cardinals, as Hoisington 3-0 after losing their first game there, 3-1 overall. They take on an old Mid-State Activities Association rival in Pratt. And last year, Pratt got the best of Hoisington 68-18. Everybody I've talked to thinks it'll be a much closer game this year. So,
right. Pratt was really good a couple of years ago, went all the way, I think, to the state finals. And, of course, once they lose that class, it's a completely different team in high school. So I really don't put too much stock into that score last year. Baird has his guys going after week 1 this year, so it really should be one of the better games around the state this week.
And the fourth voice you heard of this afternoon was the head coach of Pratt. That is Brent Hosteling, kind of basically saying, I think we got Hoisington on a bad night last year. So you can hear that game tonight, 6:30 for a pregame show, as Cole Rife will be in Hoisington as the Cards and Frogs battle on 100.7 Eagle Country. And then we had Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs travel to Tampa to take on the Tampa Bay Bucks. Nothing has changed because of the hurricane. Thoughts on that one, gentlemen?
Let me back up just a minute. I just want to do a shout-out to all the homecoming people, because tonight is homecoming in Hoisington.
Correct, it is. Very good.
So, that's a big deal. 6:30, the crowning ceremony will take place at 6:30 tonight prior to the game. So for all those folks that are dressing up nice, looking good, and having a good time, happy homecoming. It's hard to believe that homecoming's already on September 30th.
How do you keep all this stuff straight, Scotty?
I don't. Normally it just kind of rolls through my head.
Okay.
Here's the other part of it, though. Yes, Tampa Bay. They will be playing in Tampa Bay. That's the biggest thing you got to know.
Yes.
On Sunday night, because, Hurricane Ian just kind of moved around the Tampa Bay area. Wasn't a direct hit like it was in Fort Myers and some of the other places. So they are still – there was a lot of talk about how the NFL was going to make the change on Thursday. They didn't. They're going to go ahead and play in Tampa Bay, and Andy Reid was ready to go to Minnesota or wherever.
Ready to go anywhere.
He didn't care.
Let's go to Germany.
Wherever
we don't
you guys
care.
want to go, we'll play. And I like that. But, this is something where I think the Chiefs are going to come back. They want to win, after last week's, terrible loss. But
debacle was the word.
I would imagine it's been a hell of a week in practice. I will tell you that. As far as that goes, but they gotta get back on that winning streak pretty quick.
Yeah, that's one of the highest power offenses in the NFL, and they didn't come out last week, so you got to think that was a reminder to keep the foot down.
And then we heard from the Great Bend volleyball coach, Shelley Duvall. Mike Corson, you just went last night, and things did not go well last night?
Things went extremely well.
Oh, they did. Okay, I read that
Didn't
wrong.
go well for Dodge.
Time out. Can we back up on that
one? Yeah, couldn't we?
Yeah, they beat up Dodge earlier on the road, so we kind of thought that might happen last night. They come out and floor them in the first 2 sets, had to work a little harder in the third, but everybody was home watching Miami and Cincinnati.
I doubt that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm sure about that one.
Even though I was watching that, but that was a different look for the Bengals, man. That's a crazy white. Is that a home uniform kind of thing, that white and black stripes?
Yeah, they weren't the Bengals last night. They were the White Tigers.
Were they really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't like it. But the big news there was Tua. I'm not going to try to say that last name.
That's crazy.
Kidding. Boy, that was a tough hit.
He went down last week and could barely walk off the field, and then they play him. It wasn't even a whole week this time. It was 4 days. And he took another hit, and he had the involuntary spasm with his fingers, so really not a good sign.
It didn't look good at all. They carted him up and took him off. And, and so now the NFL is going to get into an in-depth look at what exactly happened and if he should have been on protocol and so on and so forth. Anyway,
this is Sports Day. It's presented exclusively by Barton Community College and Barton County Athletics. We had a busy day on Sports Day today. We'll talk with Chet Kuplan. He previews high school football Week 5. As we talked about, we'll talk to Zach Baird as the Cardinals take on Pratt. And Mike Corson talks to the head coach of the tennis team at Great Bend High School, Zach Bartel, and also the new swimming coach, Klara Gilbert. And we were able to get to her pretty quick because she was just named coach on Wednesday, correct?
She was, and I think she's going to have some interesting stories. She's from Israel, and it's mandatory military service over there, so we look to deep dive some of that this winter.
All righty. And do we talk baseball? The Royals are down to their final 6 games, got beat again. Swept by the Tigers. They're in last place again.
That's the big news.
Tigers are hot, baby.
Yeah.
Back in the cellar.
Back in the cellar.
Ouch.
Oh, well.
Judge is going for 62 tonight.
I was just getting ready to mention that, and you're too busy to sit down and watch that, but you guys think he gets it this weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's on a roll.
All right. My only thing is I hope they lose in the playoffs,
I just want the guy in the outfield to be able to catch that $1 million ball. I mean,
is that what it is?
So sad the other night when the guy just, oh boy, I don't know. And then they worked some sort of deal, right, with the Blue Jays to get it back, something like that, because it landed in whatever.
So he had it and he dropped it? I missed that part.
Pretty much, it was in his glove. Yeah, and then he just, and so he's been in depression for days.
Well, that would have been worth the money, I'm guessing. He could have.
They said it was $1 million ball. I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't know. It's interesting.
Remember when Bartman was the Halloween costume? Maybe this guy will be the Halloween trend this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Just carry around a glove. Yeah, and wear a Toronto Blue Jays hat because that's what he was.
Mr. Corson, you do have some interesting ideas.
Right,
so.
and I don't ever want to go hiking with you. I just want to mention that after this morning learning about that, I'm not going to be doing that with you.
Yeah, he missed the Appalachian Trail story.
Oh, have you not heard the Appalachian Trail story?
I'll wait for that one.
Oh,
I'm going to wait for the book.
It is crazy. He took a wrong turn and came out alive on that one.
Well,
any final thoughts this morning, this afternoon, gentlemen, before we get started?
Well, we didn't get to KU K-State, but obviously a couple big games on Saturday.
An early one for K-State, 11 o'clock, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately not on national TV again. Hopefully maybe they keep winning and we'll get those national television spots, but go Jayhawks too.
As they were alluding to, Texas Tech goes to Texas Tech is at number 25, Kansas State. That is at 11 o'clock start. And also Iowa State will be traveling to Lawrence to take on the Jayhawks. That one looks to be on ESPN2. Can KU keep it up?
KU's ranked 26, right?
Yeah, they're right outside the poll.
You got to throw that one in.
Yeah, well, okay, sorry.
At 26,
if it's not written down, Scott, I can't read it.
That's big enough to talk about. I'm just saying.
And if K-State doesn't pull off that upset last week, KU's actually in the top 25.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. Wow.
And in Division II, the 1-3 Forte State Tigers travel to their arch rival, UNK. That is the Lopers of Nebraska Kearney.
Is that Oktoberfest this weekend?
No, it's next weekend. They travel. Next weekend is Oktoberfest. Because, I'm trying to figure out how to get my own self up there because I haven't had a brat for a while.
Here's the deal. Let's take the show on the road next Friday.
There you go. We'll do it live from Oktoberfest.
Absolutely.
There is no problems.
It'll be an extremely short show next week.
As Webby likes to refer to as landmines. That show would be, in Oktoberfest, would be ripe with landmines.
Oh, my gosh. We should do that. Let's take it on the road.
With all the beer steins and stuff like that. Okay, gentlemen, thank you. We'll get started with the show. You're listening to Sports Day. Get ahead with an online or dual credit classes at Barton Community College. Earn a certificate or associate degree while in high school. Learn more at gobarton.com. You're listening to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
One of the great advantages about online classes is you can take them anywhere. I would sit in my room, still in my robe from waking up, and I just try to focus on my classes. From Barton, I kind of took a range of classes from accounting, history, and I took PE1 and PE2 through Barton. They transferred pretty incredible. It helped save money, and it helped save some time, too. Just to think that you can live really anywhere and take these classes, I think it's pretty cool.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
We had a lady that was having some severe back and hip pain, and we worked with her for about 6 to 7 weeks, and we were able to actually restore greater than 80% of her mobility, and we were able to keep her from actually needing that surgery for about 4 years.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
GB Tires, the tire experts of Great Bend. GB. Generations of buyers come back time and again. GB. Out in the field, out on the road. GB Tires has the names you know. Like Bridgestone, Firestone, on GB you can depend. GB. With fast, friendly service like it's always been. Don't need an appointment, just bring it in. GB Tires, the tire experts of Great Bend.
We know a thing or two about high-quality, large-volume hay, like the need to cover more acres per hour. That's why we built the new Case IH WD5 Series windrower with the fastest transport speeds in the industry at up to 30 miles per hour. We included a robust drivetrain that excels through hilly areas and took operator comfort to the next level with a suspended cab and airbag rear axle suspension. Raise the bar for productivity and efficiency with the Case IH WD5 Series windrower. Visit Can Equipped in Great Bend to learn more.
And welcome back to Sports Day. I'm Mike Hesher. It is Friday, and that means Chet Kuplan from sportsinkansas.com. That's sportsinks.com. Chet is amazing on what Chet knows about the high school football. And what were your takeaways from Week 4, Chet?
Well, of course, a lot of big matchups across the state. Of course, the familiar teams continue to stand out across Kansas, and I think we have a lot of teams really that have put themselves on the map this year. I think you look at, of course, the WAC is kind of going to beat up on each other, I feel like. I think, of course, Hayes is one of those teams that we seem to like a lot. I think they kind of thought a lot of people at least thought that they were kind of drop off, but I don't think they really have. And we're figuring out that the Centennial League is a pretty good league as well out of the, of course, Topeka, Manhattan area and all the schools and what they're able to do as well. So definitely some matchups that I'm looking forward to. But I think really one of the most impressive teams, of course, in 6A this year has been Manhattan. Of course, in 5A, you always got to talk about Mill Valley. Bishop Miege has continued to impress in 4A, Andale in 3A. And really like Southeast of Salina a lot in 2A as well as Nemaha Central. Of course, Inman is that team that a lot of people are circling in Class 1A. I feel like 8-man 2. Very, very loaded, very top-heavy. That doesn't mean that 8-man 1 isn't. There's some good teams there as well, and even the 6-man division. We have 9 divisions of high school football across the state of Kansas, but definitely one that stood out to me was Amari Elias out of Capon, Carmel, that played, of course, a team out of Colorado, met him out in Colby, Kansas, probably about the halfway point to play them. He had 350-plus yards rushing in that matchup, giving him almost 900 for the season. Now, he was an all-state pick last year as a sophomore, but that was kind of cool to see a matchup of course, teams that aren't familiar with each other. We saw Chanute versus Ulysses last week, so Southeast Kansas versus Southwest Kansas. I was talking to Ulysses' AD yesterday, and, of course, they have trouble finding games. They are in a league with all schools below 4A besides themselves. Everybody else is playing district, and so they don't have anybody to play this time of the year, so they got to play people all over the place. They've had to play bigger competition, 5A, 6A, or venture off into other states, or play teams from Southeast Kansas. So that's sometimes why you see some of these weird matchups or unfamiliar matchups across the state. But I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of not necessarily a state championship or a playoff atmosphere, but it gives you an unfamiliar opponent, something that you may have to face later on in the playoffs.
Did they meet someplace in between like the other teams did, or did one travel to one? I'm not familiar with where they played.
They traveled back and forth, I believe, on the same day. Now, Ulysses is no stranger to doing that. They've traveled down to Altamont, Kansas, which is Labette County High School. They've traveled to Pittsburgh, and, of course, Pittsburgh has traveled there, and Labette County has traveled there, and Chanute, of course, traveled out there this year, and I believe they've met prior. And I know that they're in the talks probably eventually to find a neutral site type of games. I know that there are 2 turf fields in Pratt, Kansas, one at the community college. They don't have football. They do have flag football for women. And, of course, soccer. They have a very nice field that they could have it there at the Pratt Green Sports Complex. That Pratt Community College has their stuff on, and plus Pratt High School has a very nice turf field. Kind of just matters probably in the future if they're playing home or away or whatnot. But you would think that would probably make a little bit more sense to find a field in Wichita or outside of Wichita or in the Pratt, Kingman type of area as well. But always interesting to see some of these matchups. I remember when Pittsburgh played Ulysses a few years ago, they actually could have went to Memphis, Tennessee or Dallas, Texas, and played an opponent closer than playing Ulysses, Kansas.
Wow, that's crazy. We're talking with Chet Kuplan from Sports in Kansas. That's sportsinks.com. You'll find all sorts of information on that website. So you talked about southeast of Salina. I was reading an article about their quarterback, Luke Gilbert. Is that how you pronounce that name? Gilbert, okay, yeah. He pretty impressive passing numbers.
Yeah, he has been outstanding this year, a player that, an all-state pick last year. They have Michael Murray as an offensive player. They lost some speed from last year with their state champion hurdler, and then, of course, their all-state wrestler and linebacker. And this is a team that just keeps rolling. I mean, I felt like they were the second-best team in 3A last year. This year they moved down to Class 2A, and, of course, they have opened the eyes of everybody. They beat Rock Creek in Week 1. They dominated Beloit, who was state runner-up in Week 2. I feel like Beloit is getting better. They're against Clay Center this week, an improved squad, but southeast of Saline, in my opinion, very much, and I know some of these aren't district games this week across the state because districts have changed. Some people are playing districts, some are not. But this is a team to circle. If I were picking on paper right now who my favorite teams to play for the Class 2A state championship, and that's no disrespect to anybody else, just basing off the first 4 weeks of the season, Nemaha Central out of the east and southeast of Saline would be on the west. I think those are two of the teams that are very good. Now, that doesn't mean that other people can't contend and hang, because I certainly think there are a handful of teams across the state to look at. Kingman and Coach Hageman have opened the eyes of a lot of people over the last few years. They're out of District 6 in the state, and they're 4-0. Chaparral's also in that at 4-0. I think they're still a question mark team. Kingman is the favorite there. Now, District 5 is going to get interesting because if we look at southeast of Saline, who is 4-0, and really the game that I'm looking forward most is whenever they play Ellsworth. I think Ellsworth has opened the eyes of everybody across Class 2A. They play at Lions this week. I expect this to be an Ellsworth team that is likely unbeaten, and that's really saying something for Coach Homolka and company, because this is a team that was 2-7 last year, and they have allowed, guess what, 6 points all season. They've won 3 in a row, including that 14-6 victory over Beloit. I know Beloit was banged up a little bit. Regardless, that is a heck of a win. And for them to even be in the conversation of contenders is remarkable after where they were at 1 year ago. They're in the same district as southeast of Saline. I don't want to look ahead, but you kind of got to put them as a contender there. In District 7, how about the Hoisington Cardinals? They threw the ball a little bit last week. Not used to doing that. They've only allowed 6 points over the last 3 weeks. They have a huge matchup, a CKL matchup against 3A Pratt this week, a team that is 3-1 led by Coach Holting. And they're also in a district with Lakin. Now, I was at Lakin with Coach Bamberger the other day talking to some of their players and him. He's done a tremendous job there. Of course, a team that is 4-0 in the season, they're against Southwestern Heights this week. The big matchup that everybody's looking forward to in District 7 is going to come 1 week from today, Lakin and Hoisington. And, of course, I believe that at Hoisington this year. So both teams have turf. So regardless of where it was going to be played, a nice surface. So Norton's also a team quietly 4-0 on the western part. Other teams to look at out east, I think we got to look at Rossville and Silver Lake, even though they're both 2-2. It goes through the war on 24. And how about West Franklin and Council Grove meeting this week on the east? Both are 4-0 in unfamiliar territory. I still think Osage City on paper might be a favorite. I know Bethany Bowman of Sports in Kansas was at Council Grove. They have a foreign exchange student kicker on that team. They have Ethan Burton as a speedster. This is a team last year that I believe only won 1 game. Butch Hayes and, of course, Council Grove won 1 game last year. They're 4-0 this year, including allowing only 14 points. So you asked me what was most impressive. There are some teams that nobody in any way, shape, or form, or so-called experts like us or myself, or that we talk about things, we had none of these teams doing what they did. So I'm proud to admit that these people proved me wrong.
That's good. And you stole a lot of my thunder there, Chet. I was going to ask you about Lakin and then Southeast Saline and the Hoisington Pratt game. Okay, Holcomb is coached by Kent Teeter, and they're undefeated as well?
Yeah, Holcomb, of course, out in southwest Kansas. They've won 2 state titles here in recent memory, 15 and 17. Of course, those came at the 4A Division II level. 3A has changed, of course, not as many teams, but, of course, the old 4A2 kind of became 3A, and the bottom part of 3A, the old 3A, moved down to 2A. Classifications have changed so much. We have expanded districts, and this is a Holcomb team that's very physical. They rotate. I believe there's 6 total guys that play on their offensive line. They're all juniors or sophomores. So this is a team, their quarterback, he is a junior as well. I talked to those young men yesterday. Interviews coming up on the Sports in Kansas platforms, powered by Mammoth and Watco, coming out later on this afternoon. But we have interviews with those guys, and they are a young team. These were guys that were playing JV or backup roles or starting as sophomore or freshmen last year. And here's a Holcomb team that is 4-0. They play Colby this week. I feel like the GWAC is a very good league. They play a physical brand of football. And how about the GWAC this year? Not a lot of people are talking about it statewide, but they need to be. Hugoton is 4-0. Holcomb is 4-0. And on top of that, Scott City is unbeaten against Kansas competition. They won 28-14 on the road against a very good Thomas More Pratt. So Coach Turner has them going in the right direction. And guess what? Scott City and Hugoton meet up in Scott City this week before they go to Holcomb last week. So a lot of district implications on the line within that. But Coach Teeter and Holcomb do a very, very good job there out in Southwest Kansas, as do a lot of those other programs. It's a very physical brand of football. And Holcomb beat a 5A school in Liberal this year on the road, 34-20. They beat Cimarron. They beat Ulysses, which is a 4A school, Goodland last week. And Colby, they'll be favored against this week. Their schedule really, really gets loaded at the end of the year. But Holcomb is certainly a team to look at out of that district with Hugoton and Scott City. Very tough brand of football. But you know what? Everybody's trying to avoid Andale. That's basically what you're doing on the West. Sure. No disrespect to anybody else, but Andale, they've won 40-plus games. They are dominant. I just don't really feel like anybody even on, Wichita Collegiate and Cheney and Pratt are going to be tough, but I still feel like Andale may be at least a 3-touchdown favorite over anybody else in Class 3A at this point, maybe 4.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Talking with Chet Kuplan from Sports in Kansas. That's sportsinks.com. He's the guru of high school sports. And we'll wrap it up, Chet. Great Bend is playing Dodge City this week. What do you think of that matchup?
Well, first off, we've seen some improvement with Great Bend this year, a 2-2 record. Of course, 2 consecutive wins, beating Wichita Southeast on the road and beating a Bueller team that has traditionally been pretty good. I know they're down a little bit back in week number 3 at Dodge on the road in this one. Of course, you look at Dodge under Glenn O'Neill, the former Scott City coach, then at Topeka Seaman. They've won their last 2 as well, beating Liberal 23-15 in a battle last week in Wichita South. So this is going to be a very, very evenly matched game. I feel like Dodge City on paper might be the favorite, but I think this is going to be one of those old-fashioned WAC battles out there, and pretty comparable teams when we look across it. I think Liberal probably would be your lowest-ranked team if I'm ranking them right now. I think Hayes would probably be my top-ranked team if I'm ranking them, but I think we're going to see a lot of mixing and matching when a lot of these teams really play each other, beating up on each other whenever you go through the schedules. Of course, is there a team here that's a major contender in 5A, 6A across the WAC? Probably not at this point. I think a lot of people are high up on Hayes. They battled with Manhattan. They battled with Garden City and beat Garden on the road last week, 30-26. But I think Great Bend, Dodge City, going to be a very, very competitive football game this week. We'll see what happens in that. But a lot of parity, I feel like, in the WAC this year.
Kind of hard to believe we're moving on week 5, and obviously some teams have started districts, but the playoffs are not that far away.
Yeah, they'll be here before we know it. Of course, playoff implications on 3A and below because you're in district play in a lot of those classes, and, of course, only so many teams go out of there. So going to be interesting. Of course, 4, 5, 6, everybody makes it. You're still playing for league games and record and things like that. As I mentioned, schedules are a bit weird now as you have some teams that are 4A but play in a 3A, 2A league, and they basically don't even really get to be a league opponent anymore or get to qualify for all league teams because they don't play any of the same teams. Topeka Hayden being one of those examples, playing in a 5A, 6A league, and guess what? They're in Class 3A. So it is weird to see the landscape of football change. I hope at some point maybe we can all go to the same format, but with location and travel and all that, I don't know if it'll ever happen. But definitely some big matchups across the state. Looking forward to following another week of football, and as you said, already halfway through the season of the regular season, and ready to cover week number 5. I always appreciate you having me on.
All right, Chet, we thank you for your time, and enjoy the football tonight.
Appreciate it, man. We'll talk next week.
All right, that's Chet Kuplan from sportsinkansas.com. That's sportsinks.com. We always appreciate Chet's time, and we'll be right back with more Sports Day after this. I'm Mike Escher. This is 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM, the talk of the town.
What's better than getting a new iPhone? Also getting an Apple Watch on us with 1 month free service. You heard that right. At Next Tech Wireless, you can get an Apple Watch on us with a month of free cellular service when you buy a new iPhone. Come visit us at a location near you or call or text at 877-621-2600 for more information. Next Tech Wireless. We are Kansas.
Some of us were born to farm. Some diesels, like Cenex Premium Diesel, were born to fuel. Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster comes with a more complete additive package for a more complete burn to reduce particulate matter and keep filters cleaner for longer. Fuel your equipment like a pro with Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster and leave typical number 2 diesel to the amateurs. Cenex Premium Diesel. Diesel that doesn't mess around.
Contact the Great Bend Co-op Fuel Department, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Did you recently have an insurance claim and discover you didn't have the coverage you thought you had? At Panzer Insurance, we offer personal guidance on insurance for your car, home, farm, or business. We represent many different companies and can help you choose the insurance that's just right for you. For a free quote, contact a member of our team at 792-9000. At Panzer Insurance, we offer big city selection with small town service.
If you are looking for a new primary care provider, look no further than the Little Gem in Ellenwood. This is Meredith Joyner, clinic manager of the Ellenwood Clinic. We keep you well by managing chronic health conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, osteoporosis, and many other health problems. Our family of healthcare providers has over 70 years of clinical experience caring for all age groups. Whether in the clinic, hospital, or ER setting, we are here to keep you healthy and safe. Visit ellenwooddistricthospital.org to become a part of our family.
Welcome back to Sports Day. I'm Mike Escher, and we're now joined by the head coach of the Hoisington Cardinals. That's Zach Baird. The Cardinals have a big game coming up tonight as they take on the Pratt Greenbacks. If you're a Hoisington fan, you can hear more from Zach when we get to the pregame show. But we're going to talk a little bit about Zach's history and how he became the coach at Hoisington. Welcome, Zach. How you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Mike.
You bet. So, you grew up in Hoisington. You were a pretty good ball player at Hoisington, and your dad played at KU. What do you know about Dean's experiences at the University of Kansas?
Oh, he had a great time there. Had a lot of fun, and was part of some really good teams in the early '70s. So, ever since I was little, I was always around sports, and he definitely shared some of his experiences with me. And it was something that, looking back, I hold on to and cherish, and glad I got to spend some of those times with him when he was coaching and just being around sports in general.
Now, did he coach you in high school? I can't remember that far back. Was he actually one of your coaches in high school?
No, he was not. I mean, I usually got some coaching lessons when I got home every day after practice. But,
yeah.
No, he wasn't my coaches. He coached some little kids' teams that I played on when I was growing up, but it was kind of nice just at that time just to kind of have him as dad, even
Sure.
though I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't getting some earfuls when I got home.
Yeah, that's surprising from Dean, yeah. And then basically you graduated from Hoisington High School. You and Joey Cotton had a pretty good run there in high school basketball and football at HHS.
Yeah, we did, and I was blessed to play with Joey. He was a great athlete. Brad Bohr was just a class above me. That we played with for a long time in little kids basketball. And, so had some great memories from that and developed some great friendships. And, Joey was a much better athlete than I was. So, I kind of rode his coattails a little bit, so to speak. And, just getting to go through some of the battles with those guys and learn how they competed versus how I competed. And we were able to have some success, not as much as I'd like, but, great times, special times.
Talking with the head coach of the Hoisington Cardinals, Zach Baird, as they get set to take on Hoisington, or they get ready to take on Pratt tonight. You're listening to Sports Day. And then you had a little bit of experience playing college football at Fort Hays State and K-State. Tell us a little bit about that.
I had the opportunity to walk on at K-State coming out of high school, and actually had the opportunity to go to Fort Hays on a partial scholarship. And, do I wish I'd have went one way or the other? I probably no, just because of the way things have worked out. And it was great. I was obviously part of a great program at Kansas State, and Coach Snyder was head coach at that time, and K-State was really good. And Coach Clemens was my position coach as a D end, and when I got there, I knew absolutely nothing. I knew nothing about what it took to be an athlete at that level. I'd never played defensive end before, so Coach Clemens he was great to learn from, and his intensity and his focus, attention to detail, and all his knowledge. It was a year that I really grew and learned a lot from. And then obviously Coach Snyder, the way he runs a program is second to none. So just always knew I kind of wanted to be a coach. So when I was there, I was always just kind of taking mental notes and trying to figure out how did this thing get turned around, and the little things they do on a daily basis really started to make sense to me as why they were so successful, is because that stuff became habits. It wasn't something you talked about or preached about. It was a culture, and it's something you did every single day. And that was something that I really appreciated and took from that experience.
Well, skipping ahead then, you took over a Hoisington High School program. You were hired as the head coach of your hometown team. The previous 3 seasons, they had a mediocre record, I guess, for the best part. And then you were able to turn it around pretty quick. Did you use a lot of what you learned from Coach Snyder to get that accomplished?
Yeah, I was an assistant for those 3 years, and really thankful that Coach Ingram gave me an opportunity to start my coaching career there. And he had a tough job. He filling in for Coach Irvin, which Coach Irvin had been here for a long time, and obviously if you ever played for Coach Irvin, if you knew Coach Irvin at all, he was a fantastic guy and somebody that you always just enjoyed being around. And then Coach Ingram came in, and different system, and kind of had to try to change the culture, so to speak. And so that was a very tough job, and so thankful I got my opportunity there. And then when the head job came open, at first I wasn't even sure I wanted it. At that point in time, I just thought I wanted to be in Hoisington my entire career, and the best way to do that is just be an assistant and kind of fly under the radar. But talking with my wife, and just something that I'd always wanted to do as a young kid was to be a head football coach. And so basically I couldn't pass that opportunity up. So did apply, and was thankful and blessed enough to get the opportunity. And then we've had great kids over this run, Mike, and my assistant coaches are phenomenal. And so without great kids and without great assistant coaches, great parent buy-in, none of the success we've had over the last 9 years would be possible.
You've had a lot of success, and we're going to have to skip over some of that because I would like to talk about tonight's game a little bit. We're talking with the head coach of the Hoisington Cardinals, Zach Baird. Coach, you lost your first game of the year. You've won 3 straight. How are you feeling going into tonight's game from your perspective?
Well, I think Pratt's going to be the best team we've seen up to this point. And, they're big and physical, and they've got athletes on the back end. So they're going to test us. They're going to play hard. They'll be tough. They're sound. They're well coached. So it's going to create some big challenges for us, which if you're going to be a team that's going to make a run in the playoffs, these are the kind of games you look forward to. These are the kind of games you want week in, week out, to where you can really get a good feel for where you're at as a ball club. And so, we've got eight seniors who are going to have to lead us tonight, and hopefully we're ready to go and prepared for the challenge at hand. And it'll be a good test. We'll see where we're at.
And, of course, Hoisington and Pratt always seem to have a little bit of a rivalry anyway, so that kind of adds to tonight's contest.
Yeah, really, it's not a district game, which for us, districts and playoffs are everything we build on. And it is a league game, but to be honest, league games don't really matter that much anymore because you don't play a full league schedule with the way the playoffs are set up with districts and whatnot. So, really you could kind of say it's almost a meaningless game, but when it's Hoisington against Pratt, that's never the case, and it's homecoming, so it's a big night for us. So hopefully our guys are ready to go, and Elton Brown should be rocking. It should be a really good atmosphere.
Well, Coach, that's about all the time we have for today. Good luck, and talk to Cole, and have a good luck tonight.
All right, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
That's the head coach of the Hoisington Cardinals, Zach Baird. We'll be right back with more Sports Day after this. You're listening to 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
From the Mail Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Hey, you want to hear some good news? Venture Corporation is still hiring for laborers, flaggers, equipment operators, CDL A and B drivers, and mechanics. And if you're ready to make some money, call Leslie at Venture. Thought about getting your CDL? Venture will train the right candidate. Higher starting wages, on-the-job training, excellent benefits, and you get paid for traveling throughout the state. Venture Corporation on South Highway 281 in Great Bend is an equal opportunity employer. Venture Corporation, homegrown, family-owned.
This is Barton Community College Athletic Director Trevor Rolfs. The Barton Athletic Department is proud to sponsor Sports Day on KVGB, a show that showcases all of our high school student athletes in central Kansas, some whom will continue their educational and athletic future with us here at Barton. We're excited about the fall sports season that is now underway and invite you to attend a game or a match and experience the rich tradition of Cougar athletics. For complete schedules and results, visit bartonsports.com.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl with Mike Corson, an inside look at all the sports taking place at Great Bend High School.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM. Mike Corson, joined once again by Great Bend High School tennis coach Zach Bartel. Coach, you're getting ready for the postseason, and this week was supposed to be a week off, but you had an extra match in there.
Yeah, we did, Mike. We had a meet scheduled for Salina South last Thursday, and there was some rain and forecasted rain, so that was postponed to Monday this week.
That's a final tune-up then for the girls who head to WAC on Monday and regionals on next Friday. Good things coming out of that final tune-up?
We had some positive results, yeah. I think the highlight was Lake and Smith at singles. That's another open draw tournament, which is what we've been going to a lot of these days. And Kaylin Wallmeyer didn't go with us to Salina. That was her meet off. Every player has to take a meet off. We have an extra varsity meet on our schedule. Lakin won her first round match and then was paired up against the number 3 seed from Salina South, and she beat her. So that's by far her best win of the year, and that will actually help her probably quite a bit for regionals. She's beaten both of the Salina South singles players this year.
You guys were also out in Garden City. Seems like of late the singles girls have had a little bit tougher draws early on, but then kind of win the backside. So Kaylin Wallmeyer was playing number 1 singles out there and places 4th and helped you guys to a 5th place finish. How have those singles girls done? Just kind of rebounding or?
Well, yeah, it's kind of depended on the meet a little bit. McPherson, the second McPherson meet, they both got a really tough draw the first round and then did play the whole backside. At Garden City, Kaylin actually made the semis and then saw 2 really tough players there and got 4th. And Lakin ended up getting 7th there. So they just, I don't know, they're kind of just up for the challenge. Whoever they're faced with, they will, they'll play hard. And some girls, they have trouble getting by, and others, they're getting some good wins in there.
And then on the double side, Samantha Mayers and Taylor Lashley, of course, had the really strong start, kind of tripling their win total from last year. More like 500 down the stretch here towards the end. How are they looking heading into the final meets of the season?
They're looking pretty good. They have, since we've talked numerous times, but they have a whole lot more confidence this year. And, things aren't going perfectly for them all the time. We still kind of working on getting good starts at tournaments. Dropping that first match really puts us in kind of a tough spot, so we got to work on that a little bit. And still facing those better teams, we're due to beat a good team here. It's been a little bit since we did that, so I'm happy where we are heading into WAC and hopeful.
And you've seen a lot of WAC opponents this year. You guys head out to Dodge City Monday for the WAC tournament. Positive vibes going into that one?
Yeah, I haven't sat down and mapped out what I think we'll get as far as wins and points and things, but we do see the WAC teams all the time, and I'm sure we've seen every single player. One thing that might throw the WAC for a little bit of a loop is Dodge City has a foreign exchange student from Italy who played for the first time in Garden City, and she got second place. She's a really good player, so that'll alter their lineup a little bit. But, yeah, we have a lot of opportunities to pick up some points at WAC on Monday.
Obviously, that'll be the big final tune-up for regional action October 7th at Salina Central. Do you like the field in Salina?
Well, it's the field we've seen for the last at least probably 3 or 4 years, so we're familiar with the teams. There's a few we don't really see until regionals, so I don't know exactly what everyone has. I haven't done all the research yet, but we'll definitely be in a better spot than we were last year as far as picking up seeds.
The top 6 will go to state?
Yep, top 6 singles and doubles advance to state.
Great Bend High School tennis coach Zach Baird. The girls go out to Dodge City for WAC tournament on Monday and big postseason regional tournament in Salina on October 7th. Coach, thanks for joining us and good luck.
Thanks. You bet, Mike.
More Sports Day after this.
Nobody protects you from mayhem in Georgia like Allstate. I'm a speed bump. Did you hear what I said? I'm a speed bump. And if you have cut rate car insurance, the cost to reattach your muffler could really be a bump in the road. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
When you need to get rid of the pain, you want the best. You need to see Dr. Dan Quillen at Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Dr. Dan is Barton County's only board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy. No matter your age, when it hurts, he will help. Call Dan at 620-282-4825. That's 282-4825. Excellence-driven, unrivaled results. Catalyst Therapy and Sports Rehab. Inside the Fieldhouse at 9th and Madison in Great Bend.
Welcome back to Sports Day, 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Mike Corson today, joined by a new Great Bend High School coach. Klara Gilbert was just named the new swim coach at Great Bend High School. Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am good. We are out of Friday. We are ready for the weekend. Nice backstory here. You are an Israeli native, and so we were just chatting about that. National record holder in the restyle. You were a butterfly swimmer. Talk about your childhood as a swimmer over there.
So I grew up, I was born and raised in Israel. I started in gymnastics, and then I decided around when I was 11 to join the swim team. I learned how to swim my first year, and then the second year I already moved up to the elite, I guess, or the top group in my club. So at age 12, I already started competing and swimming with top swimmers. And then I swam from 12 all the way to 18, and I got to compete at nationals, winter and summer nationals. Also, I got to represent my country in multiple international meets. And also, every 4 years, my country hosts Olympics for Jews. And I got to compete in those two as well, and I won some medals. So that was a fun experiment.
What was the crowd like at those? Were those thousands of people you were swimming in front of?
In Israel, not thousands, but a lot of supporters. And then the one that we were hosting, the Maccabiah Games, people came all over the world, so that was kind of neat. I got to swim against a lot of athletes from different countries, and we got to exchange things and race and get to know other people. So that was really fun. They treated it like Olympics. The whole ceremony and everything felt like it's Olympics, so that was pretty cool.
And we're talking with new Great Bend High School swim coach Klara Gilbert. And then you had to do military service over there, which is mandatory. And then you came and you attended Fresno Pacific in the United States, won a national title here.
That was a completely different experience. Coming here was more for the team aspect, like you swim for the team, less individual. So that was kind of interesting. It was different than what I grew up. In Israel, it was mainly I swim for myself, I compete for myself, If I make the cuts, if I make the times, I move up to the national team. So it was more individuals. So coming to the United States and swimming for the college was pretty fun.
And
I
then
enjoyed that.
You have since coached. You were a coach at Rocky Mountain Rapids Swim Club and Pine Creek High School in Colorado. How does that translate, being a great swimmer yourself, to being a good coach?
When I graduated the college, I didn't think I'm going to come back to swim. I thought I'm pretty much going to be done with swimming. I won't get any close to the pool. I didn't even think about coaching. And someone in Colorado Springs approached me, one of my friends, and asked me if I'm willing to coach with him the high school. And that was kind of, I didn't really know, because in Israel we don't have sports in high school. It's more individual. It's more like a hobby. He convinced me for a couple months, and then I said, yes, I will come and coach with you. And then that's how I started coaching for the high school. I fell in love with swimming again. And then eventually me and my husband, who's currently the head coach at Bartel, took over Pine Creek High School, and we started coaching that. We rebuilt the whole program. And I think now they actually, they won their league. They're really good right now. So we rebuilt the whole program. And then on top of that, I was offered to become the head coach for a local club, Rocky Mountain. That was a rebuild as well. I got it from 20 swimmers to like over 100 swimmers. And that was nice to balance club and high school at the same time. So I've done it for a couple of years before coming to Great Bend.
And then now you're in Great Bend. We've had an established swim team for a while. What are your expectations as the new coach?
So last year I was the assistant coach for the boys. We did some incredible things. First we won WAC after a couple of years that they didn't win WAC, so that was pretty impressive. And then we also sent those 4 boys to state, and they placed 10th overall out of 30 teams, I think, and that's pretty impressive too, because with only 4 boys, you can't really place 10th. They did really well. So my expectations for this year is basically continue or carry that on to this year to defend the WAC title and also improve and grow this program here in Great Bend.
And then what does it take to grow, maybe get some new kids out or get the ones who are already out to perform a little better?
The way I do it, I make them, I care about them individually, each one, and I want them to be successful individually. So just give them the confidence that they're really good, that there's always room to improve, to love the sport, because you need to love swim in order to be successful and enjoy that swim or the sport, because you have to, jump in to water. You don't hear anything. You just see a black line on the bottom and basically follow it. So you really need to love that sport and have a passion for that. So I think that's where I need to start, have people love this sport first.
Great Bend High School new swim coach, Klara Gilbert, thanks for joining us, and congratulations and good luck on the upcoming season.
Thank you so much for having me today. Thank you.
More Sports Day after this.
Man, how can you afford gas for that big SUV?
I pay less for gas than everyone else. I got the free Get Upside Gas app and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
Hold on. You're getting up to 25 cents off a gallon with the free Get Upside Gas app while I'm paying full price?
You know it. People earned over $1 million last year. You just got to take a picture of your gas receipt and bam, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back.
You don't have to tell me twice. I'm downloading the free Get Upside Gas app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code LOVE for a 25 cent a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next tank. Just download the free Get Upside app at the App Store or Google Play and use promo code LOVE. Save money on gas on every fill-up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code LOVE. That's LOVE. Visit GetUpside.com for terms.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
And Good afternoon. Welcome back to Sports Day. Mike Hesher along with Mike Corson. We kind of barred Scotty Donovan from the studio. Scotty's a promoter. There's no doubt about that. So that was a good promotion, though. I like that they're going to have the video. They're going to have a streaming tonight at the downtown event in Great Bend because Great Bend plays in Dodge City.
It's changed.
Yes, it has.
Remember the days where I'd have to listen to Randy Gehring out in the pickup? So to be able to watch a game.
Yeah. Well, there's some issues coming down that way because I don't have the details, but I know the people in Hoisington are upset because now they're getting charged for using Huddle or some other streaming services, and they're really hoping that these sports stay on the radio. So I think that's a plus for us.
Yeah, I know some people are using YouTube, which is obviously free, but then is that cutting from the gate? There's all kinds of issues that go into the money side, but I did see where they switched to Huddle, and Huddle is a big company.
Yes, but they're starting to charge more than they want to, and I actually did talk to the principal at Hoisington High School this morning. I will not mention any names, but he does say the streaming has cost Hoisington money from people attending the gate. So I don't know, so that's the way it is. Okay, Mike Corson, nice interview with the swimming coach at Great Bend High School. Interesting person coming to Kansas.
Yeah, sounds like she really knows what she's doing. Had excellent achievements as an individual, and now she's going to try to do that as a coach. So I liked her commentary about if you don't like what you're doing out there, you're basically getting in that tepid water and looking at a black line on the bottom of the pool.
That would be rather kind of boring. And you wanted to touch on cross country.
Yeah, so it came out yesterday. Keisha released the regional assignments, and Great Bend will once again be hosting 5A and 2A races. So the kicker there is obviously Caden Esfeld on the boys' side won a regional title last year. Our girls dominated for a regional title. Both of those went on to finish third at state. But then we get a couple outsiders coming in. They're really two of the top three runners in Kansas this year. Really, one of them's one of the top runners of all time.
The young lady from Stanton County?
Yeah, Chesney.
Peterson? Is it?
It is Peterson.
Yeah, she's tough.
I think she had a medical issue, and Ellenwood's Erin Hammocky beat her out a couple years ago at state. I believe that's the last race she has lost, track or cross country. And so she's not only winning races, she's now, I think, top 10 on track in 2 events. And she's doing it with range from the 4, the 8, the 16, the 32. So she's got tremendous speed and endurance. And then she's an exceptional. So Salina Central's sophomore, Caitlyn Roop, played tennis last year, didn't even run cross country, medals at state.
Really?
And now she is the top runner in the state this year, knocking out the girl from Olathe North. So between those three, we get 2 of them coming to Great Bend on October 22nd.
That could be interesting. Yeah, I watched the young gal from Stanton County at the state track meet last year, and on TV, I was just amazed that she was lapping these people, the other young ladies running, and I don't remember how long the race was, but like within 3 laps, she was lapping them. But she has no competition, so we really don't know how well she can run.
Yeah, and so obviously they're going to be separated here. 5A and 2A will not run together, but she ran a 17:55 last week and won by like 90 seconds, while this other girl ran a 17:45 at Rimrock against Top Comp. So you would love to see them go head-to-head and push.
Well, that would be fun. And I'm old enough to remember Grand State Wrestling, where the winners of the state wrestling all met in Hayes for Grand State Wrestling, which it was open to all classes. It was really interesting.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that with football, but we definitely have brought that up basketball-wise, especially when you had the Kinnemans going in McPherson and St. John, and you had Central Plains kicking up. So, yeah, some sports it doesn't work, but we would love to know who is the best in Kansas.
That would be interesting. Okay, a lot of high school football action around the state of Kansas tonight, as should be no surprise. In the Western Athletic Conference, Mike Corson heads to Dodge City as Great Bend 2-2 takes on the Red Demons. We talked a little bit about this one. What a little more in-depth thought on this one, Mike?
Yeah, I forgot that Scott City was a powerhouse. Glenn O'Neill is in his second year at Dodge. It was interesting to hear Coach Beck say they were going to run the ball. I said this morning I thought Dodge might be powerful, but makes sense under Glenn O'Neill. They would be running the ball like the old Goolsby days. So Great Bend's going to have to be tough, wrap up, and I hope that I expect Great Bend to be a little bit more wide open, so if Dodge is used to playing that style, maybe Great Bend can go down there and make some noise.
Other Western Athletic Conference games tonight. Hayes 3-1 travels to Southwest Kansas to take on the Tigers of Ulysses at 1-3, and Garden City will travel to Liberal. Garden City's 3-1, Liberals 2-2. In the Central Kansas League, we did talk about Pratt, Hoisington. Pratt's 3-1, Hoisington's 3-1. What I've been talking to people is Hoisington needs to score first to keep it close. Do not let Pratt get on a roll.
Yeah, I mean, Baird has those guys ready to go, and I just...
Were you the one talking about week ones have been trouble for Hoisington, and once they get past week one, they're pretty good, which would be the case this year?
Well, and they won 8 straight after losing that game to Pratt last year. They lose to Heston this year, and they've rattled off. I mean, Halstead was supposed to be pretty decent, and Hoisington kind of beat them up. So I'm not putting – I think it'll be pretty close.
Do you think there's any truth to, hey, they beat us last year 68 to whatever it was? Do you think those kids remember that, or is that all just talk from coaches?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, a lot of those kids are gone maybe.
Right.
Especially on Hoisington's side, so probably on Pratt's side. I'll tell you, so bulletin board material, a couple years ago when we got Coach Black in and Marcus Watts was up at Hayes, the rumor was he said, I don't care if they got Tom Landry down there, it's still Great Bend. That stuff's the type of stuff that I could see going on a bulletin board. Pulling up a result from last year, I'm not as sure on.
Other Central Kansas League action tonight. Cimarron 0-4 is in Larned to take on the Tribe at 2-2. And Ellsworth, surprising Ellsworth. I just love to see the Bearcats. They're 4-0. They traveled to Lions to take on the winless Lions. Other 11-man area games. Ellenwood 2-2 travels to Conway Springs at 1-3. And whoever would have thought you'd see Conway Springs at 1-3 after the years that they dominated. Russell 2-2 travels to Hayes to take on the Monarchs. Russell's 2-2 and TMP's 3-1.
Yeah, kind of interesting stories. So they had a poll out on Twitter the other day. Highland Park hadn't won a game since 2014. They're 4-0, but they played some weak comp.
They haven't won a game since 2014?
They hadn't. So
wow.
They're 4-0 this year. Ellsworth was also in the conversation as kind of the surprise story this year. So, yeah, go Bearcats.
Talking to Chet Kuplan on Sports in Kansas. He's mentioned Ellsworth a couple times. Other quickly, 8-man games. Sylvan Lucas is at Central Plains. Dighton takes on Otis Bison. Maxville is at Ness City. Stafford is in St. John. Skyline Pratt takes on La Crosse. Central Christian's at Kinsley. Victoria is at Wilson. Final thoughts before we head out for the week, Mike Corson.
Going to be windy, starting to feel a little bit more like football weather in those evenings.
And it's
bring a jacket.
56 degrees, and it's supposed to be gusty tonight. So if you're going out tonight, be prepared. You're listening to Sports Day. It's brought to you by Barton Community College and the Barton County Athletics. We appreciate you joining us on this Friday.
This is Agriculture Today. I'm Samantha Bennett with the K-State Radio Network. We start with K-State grain market economist Dan O'Brien. He shares information on how the current water levels of the Mississippi River might affect both the corn and soybean markets, and the potential for volatility in the wheat market due to 2 USDA reports set to release this morning. Also ahead, we summarize current events at K-State's College of Agriculture with Dean Ernie Mitten for this month's edition of Statewide. This month, Dean Mitten discusses a visit from NASA.